So I found out about this machine from a guy on Facebook. He messaged me and said he's got a guy he knows who has a Lima shovel with a D8 engine in it. And I was really interested in that. And then he also said he had a couple 22Bs. So I finally made some time in August 2023 to go down and look at this machine, and yeah, I was pretty impressed with it, and wasn't quite sure if I was going to be able to acquire it, but it took a while, and then I'd said I'd like to maybe see if it'll fire up and see how bad the air system is before I make an offer. So it took me a while to get back down to it. But in this next series of photos here, this is the second time I went down. Bud and I had went and looked at another machine. So this is May of 24. I was able to get some of the brush and stuff cleared out of it. Most of these little clips here are just some videos so I could see what was in the machine and stuff when I got back home, if I have any questions or anything like that. I didn't know a whole lot about it at the time. Most of my experiences with the Model 34, I own two of those. The bigger tank is a high pressure air tank, and then this smaller one to the right is the low pressure air tank, which feeds the controls. Got all the vines off the left side of the machine. Kind of a miserable rainy day. Bud and his wife Patty didn't have much time to help me out, like maybe an hour. But as you can see here in this next clip, we got it going.
Got good oil pressure? Yeah.
Got the tree out of the boom. So I got the carburetor off the 604. Wasn't getting fuel last time I started this. And I just noticed the seat for the float needle wasn't seated all the way. So the float was not letting any fuel in. I'm going to tighten that up and then put the float back on. So got the carb and air cleaner all back together on the pony engine. So that should work all right. I lubed up some of the controls. Now I'm going to go work on hooking up the air compressor to the air system, so I'm able to start working on some of the leaks before I fire this up. So this machine is air control. Got a bunch of air valves up there and all the air lines. And here's our compressor, belt drive off the engine. And then it feeds these two air tanks. There's a low pressure and a high pressure tank. So what I got rigged up here is I'm gonna run a little gas powered compressor and start chasing some air leaks. This last time I was here, we had a major leak up front here. So I want to try to see what we got going on without running the engine. So I guess fire up the compressor and see what we end up with. So these air valves were seized up, and there's supposed to be a spring in here, brass spring, but it's gone. This was only hand tight, so I just cut a piece of fuel line to go in there. And here's the other one. So, contrary to what you would think, the valve handle in line with the piping is closed and perpendicular is open. So that valve is open. So I'm going to put all this back together and then see if we get more air down at our control stand. And gauges, I'm going to work on changing out these two valves because they leaked pretty good. And then I'm going to change out some of these gauges on here so I can actually try to see what the machine's doing. And then we're going to dig some more into this control tower and work on some of these valves down here. So I got the one swing control valve taken apart. There's not a whole lot to them. So there's a little push rod that pushes on the spring, which goes inside this piston. This piston slides inside the valve here. And then on the back side, you have another little piston that's spring loaded, and this piece right here seals against this port. So that's what connects the air through the valve. This little piston, this was seized up in the other valve that was leaking, and that's all there is to it. So this is the steering valve. Air comes in this middle port and then goes out to either one of these side ports depending on which way you move this plate. All this plate does is push on these plungers. It's the cam plate. So I got the one side freed up, the other side was working. This plunger was stuck. Mud daubers had gotten in here and seized this up. So I got it all cleaned out. I'm going to grease where the ball slides on there and get this all back together. Steering valve's working like it should now. So this lever right here is for the swing and travel. So what you're doing is shifting this jaw clutch up and down so it'll rotate the yoke that's in there, and then also switches this valve. I wonder if this bypasses maybe the regulator so you get full clutch pressure for travel versus regulated pressure for swing, because there's a regulator up there that changes that. These are your swing clutches. I'm going to unhook this and see about trying to rotate this lever a little bit, get it free. So I got the valve for the house lock cleaned up, working like it should. Everything here's full of mud daubers. Air valve that runs the master clutch also was clogged up.
This is what the master clutch looks like, not your conventional twin disc.
So this is what locks the house. We got this big spring and then a band around a drum on the vertical swing shaft. So that cylinder was mounted right here, and it was bypassing so it wouldn't release the brake. Put a porta power on it and pushed on the lever so we know nothing's frozen up on the brake side. It's just the cylinder bypassing. And then this is the other half of the shaft for the jaw clutch to switch between swing and travel. So I got to work on getting that free. And then down here, found this hose broken for the other swing clutch. So we're gonna replace that also. I have hose back at the house. I got the bottom panel off the control tower, and this is one of the swing valves. This was leaking out of this piston. So I'm gonna bring that home with me. And there's two more I might as well take out of here too. This is the inside of that swing brake house lock cylinder. As you can see, the bugs kind of made it a home. So I'm going to work on getting the rest of this piston out and seeing what we have for a seal. So we got a bunch of old grease in here and some corrosion on the inside of the barrel of this air cylinder. Down here on the piston side. That's probably why it was bypassing so bad. Might have an O-ring in here, not sure, because we are open atmosphere. Take it apart and see what we can do. So I sandblasted this air chamber and got some paint on it. We'll work on putting the seal in tomorrow. So this is our new rubber cup seal for the air cylinder. As you can see, there's no center hole. So what they do is they just put a little dimple in the middle, and then you cut your center hole to whatever size you want. I got this from Hercules, ordered it online and had it in 3 days, 4 days. So I'm going to work on cutting this hole, and then we can bolt this cylinder all back together. I got the inside of the chamber all lubed up. I got the cup seal all back together on the piston, new cotter pin. Gonna slip this together. So we're all back together. Can test it with the blowgun here. So this is just an atmospheric vent over on this side. This should return with spring pressure, but this is one of the control valves. I just took this cover off. This piston frozen in here. This spring frozen in here. So we're going to take this all apart and clean it up. This is the plate on the bottom of the swing shaft. It was leaking pretty bad. The gasket was all pushed out from water. Drain plug in the middle here. So I took that off. Our retract valve is letting air past and always putting air to the clutch. So we have to fix that. There's where all the oil was coming out. Then we have that's the propel safety brake can, that's leaking air pretty bad. And then right there, that's the boom hoist brake. So that air line was broken, so that's why I couldn't boom down. Going to work on that stuff. Then I got this airline's pretty bad. Clean up that quick release valve, and then this isn't the right airline for this, so I'm gonna replace that too. But a lot of good progress today. It's getting closer and closer to moving day. So ready for another day on the 604. Got this control valve back together, not leaking. Got a hose made between the swivel and a quick release valve. Got a gasket made for the bottom of the gear case. And I straightened this pan out quite a bit. It was all wavy. I guess some water got in there and froze. So should be in good shape for our, I believe, 5th day working on this machine over a month and a half. We'll see about maybe walking it up out of where it's at and hopefully be one step closer to getting it moved. Walked her right out of her grave. So we got all the catwalk stripped off. Had to torch some of the bolts, but a lot of them came out. So the issue with the one steering valve was this seal popped out. It was just floating around in here. So I kept sending air to the clutch cylinder. So I tried gluing that back in, see if that fixes it. So this is the valve for the bucket trip. Bolted in next to the swing lever. You just move this to the side to push on that. So it's not working. Let's take it apart. That could be our problem. Seems to work. Loaded down with the catwalks and railing. I think we're ready to move. I got some spots marked with soapstone to see where the beams are going to end up on the trailer. Make sure we're going to clear the mud pan. I think everything's ready to go. Got all our measurements and the serial number for the permit. We got the track chained up, a block of wood here. We just put a shim in the back, try to get all these axles to share the same weight. Hopefully we'll be on the road soon. We're mobile. Actually, it looks pretty good. Right along. There is a lot of traffic in this section, so we're going pretty slow, 35, 40. Everything's going good so far. Hey guys, we're down at Steam-o-rama today. This is the week after Sam and I moved this 604 shovel out of Maryland. The show's coming up October 3rd to the 6th, and it's 1693 Manor Road, Windsor PA. So if you want to come out and check this machine out, come on by and see us. I just want to give a big thanks to everybody who had a part in helping me with this machine. So I'm going to get back to working on this. I got a few weeks here to get this thing operational. Hopefully we can have it digging at least a little bit. Hope to see you then.